Hello, in this video we are going to see about strokes, also known as brain attacks. What are they, why they occur, and how can we prevent them? Let's get started. Before understanding about strokes, we have to understand about cardiovascular system, also called as a circulatory system. Cardio is heart and vascular is blood vessels. So the circulatory system's function is to move blood throughout the body. This movement of blood is very important. It is important for oxygen delivery to the different organs. Nutrients which are there, we have to transfer the nutrients throughout the body. It is important for hormones distribution. I would link up another video where it describes about endocrine system and why hormones are important. If you want to know more about hormones, you can see that video. And it also helps to eliminate or get rid of waste products from the body. Now if you see this diagram, heart is here and we see multiple blood vessels which are indicated in red and blue color. So red, typically in cardiovascular system designs or drawings, red indicates artery and the blue indicates vein. So the arteries would carry the oxygenated blood to the different organs within the body, and the veins would carry the deoxygenated. Once the oxygen has been absorbed by the body tissues, the deoxygenated blood would be carried again to the heart where it gets oxygen, and then this oxygenated blood is again pumped to the body, different tissues of the body, and this cycle keeps on happening at the rhythmic cycle. The circulation which we discussed in the past slides was systemic circulation, involving the movement of blood from the heart to the rest of the body and back to the heart. So we can see here that the oxygenated blood is traveling here to the body, different cells and tissues of the body, and then it gets deoxygenated because the oxygen has been absorbed and it comes via the veins back to the heart. And the cycle of oxygenation and deoxygenation keeps on repeating. Now there is another important circulatory function, which is pulmonary circulation. What happens here is that there is a movement of blood from heart to the lungs and back to the heart. Why? Because the blood has to be oxygenated again. So what happens here is the role of artery and veins get reversed. So arteries in this case here, this carries the deoxygenated blood and oxygen is provided by the lungs here, and the oxygenated blood is provided via the veins back to the heart. There are multiple illnesses which can be there if in case cardiovascular system has a problem, and two prominent things are heart attacks and strokes. And heart attack is when the blood flow is blocked to the heart, and stroke is when the blood flow is blocked to the brain. We all have an idea of brain, what exactly it does. The brain is a complex organ that serves as the central control center of the nervous system. What does it mean? Brain helps in sensory processing. So if in case somebody touches you hear something, you taste something, you smell something, all these things, how they should be processed is the function of brain. Motor control, how your hand-eye coordination should happen, what is muscle memory, all those reflexes, everything will come under motor control. Cognition, so thinking, reasoning, problem solving, all these decision making, all these things will come under cognition. Memory, so we encode and decode and store and retrieve information from our brain. So what is that? That is memory, which is ingrained in the brain. Emotions, you will be happy, sad, all those emotions, how it would be regulated, that is also done with the help of brain. When we speak, the brain is responsible for production and comprehension of language. What exactly does it mean when somebody says something? Homeostasis, the brain helps to maintain internal balance of regulating vital functions such as temperature, hunger, thirst, sleep, circadian rhythms, etc. So that is homeostasis. Now we understood that oxygen supply is very important for all the tissues to work properly. Without blood, the tissues and cells will start dying. Now what happens in case of stroke is that the blood flow to a part of a brain is cut off. The moment the blood flow is cut off, the brain cells start to die because they don't get the oxygen and nutrients they need, and this would cause parts of the body controlled by those brain cells to stop working properly. So all these cells in the brain have a specific function, and whatever part of the brain gets affected, those functions would also get affected, and that's what is stroke. There are two major types of strokes. The first one is ischemic stroke, and this is the most prominent stroke which can happen. We see that it accounts for 87% of all strokes. So it's a very prominent one. What happens here is that the blood clot blocks a blood vessel in the brain. This is represented with this diagram. We can see here, this is our cardiovascular system. Heart is represented, and then multiple arteries and veins are represented. Now what happens is, let's say there is blood vessel which is going in the brain and it is obstructed. This one is a very small view if we see here, but the same thing has been enlarged here. So in this enlarged view, we can see that there is a blood clot which has formed here, and what it is doing, it is obstructing the flow of blood towards here, this direction. Now what would happen is there won't be any blood flow, and blood carries multiple nutrients and oxygen which is utilized by different tissues and cells in the nervous system, and this supply of blood, if obstructed, will cause a lot of problems. That is what is ischemic stroke. Now, why these blood clots develop? They develop in response to injuries, surgeries, medical procedures, or damage to arteries called atherosclerosis. Sometimes they can form even when there is no obvious injury to the blood vessel. So we saw atherosclerosis. This is the buildup of flakes in the arteries which can rupture and form clots. Then there are multiple other things which are mentioned here. Heart conditions can cause clots. High blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, smoking, sedentary meaning lack of physical activity. If in case that is there, that can also lead to blood clot formation. The second type of stroke is hemorrhagic stroke. This happens when blood vessel in the brain bursts, causing bleeding in and around the brain. So if we see this diagram, there is a blood vessel here, the tiny blood vessel which can see and which is enlarged here, and we can see that this blood vessel had ruptured or it has broken, and thereby what has happened, the blood starts flowing outside, and this is also the second type of stroke. This stroke is less common, accounting to around 13% of strokes, and because the blood vessel has been broken, so this carries higher risk of death. If somebody is having a stroke, how can that be identified? So there is a way of response to the stroke. That way of response is called FAST, and it is an abbreviation. So face drooping. So you can see there that one side of the face is drooping. So we can see this side of the face is drooping, and if you ask the person to smile, he or she won't be able to smile. Arm weakness. So you can ask the person to raise both arms, and you can see whether the person is able to raise both of them or not. If not, there is a possibility. Speech difficulty. So if in case the speech is slurred or they are not able to speak, hard to understand, then also there is a possibility of a stroke. If in case you see these possibility, what is our response? We have to take the person to the emergency services. In US and some other countries, the emergency services number could be 911. You have to take the person immediately to the hospital for the emergency services. There are some other symptoms which are there: numbness or weakness of the face, arm or leg, especially on one side of the body. Confusion, we discussed earlier. Trouble speaking or understanding speech. Trouble seeing in one or both eyes. Trouble in walking. Severe headache without any cause. How can we manage our risk? We can do it by quitting tobacco use and vaping. Also, vaping is when we use electric cigarettes thinking that they don't cause any problem, but that is not correct. That also has a risk. Current smokers have 2 to 4 times increased risk of strokes compared with non-smokers or those who have quit smoking more than 10 years ago. Eliminate or reduce alcohol use. Heavy drinking can increase your risk of stroke. Maintain a healthy weight. Obesity and excessive weight can put a strain on entire circulatory system. So by having a healthy weight, you are basically helping your body relax and you are not putting unnecessary pressure on the circulatory system. Now, if you increase your physical activity, that can help reduce the stroke risk. A brisk walk of 30 minutes can improve daily health. And diet. The diet is very important. The diet should be rich in fresh food, include a variety of proteins, use minimally processed foods, limit your salt intake, limit intake of added sugars, and avoid fried foods. So these will help reduce the risk of stroke. Hope this video was useful. Thank you very much.